Hey everyone, Stephanie here, coffee drinker, book lover, and reviewer of many things. It's not Christmas yet, but I don't have very many options. Today, I have finished another book off of my 2024 reading challenge, and I'm halfway through another book, and I did not want to stop to make this video because I just want to know what happens in the other book that I'm reading, but we're not here to talk about that. If I look tired, because I stayed up until almost 2 o'clock reading this book, but we're here to talk about this book. Okay, guys, this is a chunker of a book. It's Stephen King. Guys, I started this book in July. This book is the 7th book on the list. You know, I don't read them in order. I believe this book is if you're gonna listen to it, it's 24 hours and some minutes, almost 25 hours. And I started reading this in July, and I got halfway through, and I gave up. I gave up reading it because it was at a point where it's and we're walking, and we're walking, and I don't know where this is going. I was getting very frustrated that we were still walking. But then I got a credit on Audible, and I was like, I'm done. I'm just gonna listen to it now. I think most of the problem with big books like this is you can't read distracted, especially with Stephen King. If you read Stephen King, you know that there are little that you don't want to skip over because it might be important later. And thank goodness I listened to it, because I forgot something that happened in the beginning of the book, and it was important later. I feel like, as big as this book is, it could have been broken down into 3 small books. I don't know if anyone else knows this, because it's not made like this anymore, but Green Mile was first it was published in a magazine type thing, and then it was sold in little thin books, little paperbacks. I have them. They're a little torn up because whenever I got them, they were already old and worn. And I feel like this book could have, I could have read it better if it was broken up into books. I mean, it's broken up. Okay, so let me just show. Let me find the first page. Okay, so it's broken up into segments. So chapter 1 is 3 chapters. Let me just. Okay, so chapter 1 is 20 pages. That's a bit big for a chapter, in my opinion. Each chapter has 3 or 4 names. I can't read it out loud to you because my kid is in the room. But this word is used a lot, and so is the F word. The F word is in this book more than it should be, I feel like. I guess that's just the mom me. That's just, I have a parakeet right now. She's 4, and she likes to repeat words. So I guess that's just the mom in me being this is in here too many times. I was going to, because some Stephen King books you can kind of like maneuver around and be like, okay, we can make this a kid version of it. And this one, I had to make sure she couldn't see because of the words, the language. Let me just read the back of the book for you before I go in any further. That was my let me finish the warnings. Language, obviously. Like I said, the F word is used a lot. Like, I don't think my grandma would want to read this. Grandma, if you're watching, I know you don't like to read all the cuss words, and so maybe skip this one. Maybe just get a condensed version. There is death. Good, not good deaths, but like ones that are gonna make you want to cry, and also ones that you're like, good, you were evil in the first place. Like the bad guy, you know. There is talk of medical issues like cancer and a very graphic broken leg and things that come along with helping someone who is older and can't get around because of a broken leg and the medicine they're taking. There is, like, I know it's hard to read that sometimes, so I wanted to give that warning. Good old Stephen King making a horror book sad. There is a love of a puppy dog. There's a lot of violence, okay? And anyone who has dealt with anger and you have those thoughts like, oh, I could just, but you don't because you're a better person. It's about a 17-year-old boy, okay? You also hear about Alcoholics Anonymous in this. So you know what comes along with that. Some people have trouble reading that too. Other than that, I thought it was a good book. Let me read the back for you real fast. Charlie Reed looks like a regular high school kid, great at baseball and football, and a decent student. But he carries a heavy load. His mom was killed in a hit-and-run accident when he was 7. The grief drove his father to drinking. Charlie learned how to take care of himself and his dad. When Charlie is 17, he meets a dog named Radar and her aging master, Mr. Bowditch. I was saying Bowditch in the beginning, but then I listened to the book and it's Bowditch. A recluse in a big house at the top of the big hill, with a locked shed in the backyard. Sometimes strange sounds emerge from that shed. Charlie starts doing his job for Mr. Bowditch and loses his heart to Radar. Oh my gosh. It's true love, guys. That dog. I love the dog. Then, when Bowditch dies, he leaves Charlie a cassette tape telling a story no one would believe. What Bowditch knows and has kept secret all his long life is that inside the shed is a portal to another world. Yeah. So, classic Stephen King book. If you like it, and if you like the Dark Tower series, you have to read this. Like, no, it's not a suggestion. You need to read this. Everything sort of, you know how a lot of Stephen King's books, kind of wrap up into a nice little circle. This one belongs in that world. Okay. That's kind of a spoiler. Sorry. But in Okay, hold on. My brain is catching up to the words. Okay. When you're in the beginning, whenever you first go to the other world, you go down into a well. Hence the picture on the front. That's not giving away too much. It says a portal to another world. So, for a few minutes in this book, I had this thought that if you are a Middle Earther person, like you think that inside the earth there is another living beings, I thought of that for a few. I was like, so like there's a world inside of our world, and it kind of threw me off because scientifically that doesn't make sense to me. And then by the end of the book, I was like, oh, I get it. It's a portal, like a portal to another world. Yes, you go down into it, but there's a spot that you feel like weird. That's when you're crossing into the portal. There's really no way to talk about this book without a bunch of spoilers, so I am going to do my best. Just talk about my feelings. And if you don't want spoilers, then click off of this. I think it's a good book. If you liked Stephen King's It, if you liked Stephen King's Dark Tower series, what is the other one? There's another one. I can't remember. I'll remember it later and be like, oh yeah, this book. There are some parallels. Okay? Like, I feel like the monster from It is also it's the monster in this book, along with it makes an appearance in the Dark Tower series towards the end, I believe. My brain is not remembering all of the Dark Tower series, even though I did. Please be careful. Even though I did read the first book last year, I believe. It's fairy tales, but think the Grimm fairy tales kind of smushed together, and probably a little worse than the Grimm fairy tales. There is also talk of Dracula, and he talked about, because Charlie remembers when he was in junior high and he read Lovecraft and Dracula and Frankenstein and the Gothic stories, because his dad was going through his hard time, and when Charlie was going through his dark phase and he had a friend that was not so great and they did not so great things together, he made friends with a girl in class who was like the oddball. She was like a goth but not dressed in black. Like, she could care less what people thought. And so in English class, they read something from R.L. Stine, probably a Goosebumps book or something, and when the teacher was asking for everyone's opinion, he was like, yeah, it wasn't scary. And so she, like, follows him after class, the girl, and is like, hey, if you want something scary, you should read this. And they become reading buddies, and they read dark and scary things for, like, junior high. And so there were a lot of quotes from other books in this one, which is really cool. And like, it's like, ooh, if you read the book, you're like, okay. I got really excited. I was like, oh, I read that. Oh, I love that one. Oh. And yeah. There are giants in this book. There are people with gray skin in this book, and there's a lot of talk of Rumpelstiltskin. Oh my gosh, Rumpelstiltskin. Oh my god, I still have trouble saying that word. Oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on. And there's a lot of parallels to that. And yeah. I thought I was a little. So this book takes place in 2013 and 2014. And I mean, there are some flashbacks from before then, but that's like the main time. And when he first meets Bowditch and is like, I'll help you, I'll be your caretaker. And he does it mostly because he prayed to God whenever his dad was at his lowest that if you help us get out of this situation, I will do whatever you want. And that's when Charlie stopped doing all the bad stuff that he did. And like the next day, one of his dad's friends was like, hey, come to this meeting with me. And that started his dad's recovery. And it was so he's like, I gotta be on the straight and narrow now. Like, I gotta do good things. And so he started volunteer work, and he started helping out in different ways. And so he's like, okay, like he's riding his bike and he hears the dog howling and he stops, and Radar is like trying to get someone's attention, and then he hears Bowditch like, help. And so he's like, what's going on? Like, he goes around, and in that moment he's like, oh, like, I found this guy. He's alone. He has no one else. This is my sign. I have to help this guy. And so he starts kind of cleaning up the house because it's old and he's an old guy and, can't clean the windows and all that stuff. And when the old guy is ready to come out of the hospital, he has his recovery nurse person, oh my gosh, therapist? What is it called? The one that's going to help work his leg is going to come to his house. And she's like, but he can't be there alone. And Charlie's like, it's okay, I'll be there. I'll take care of him. And she's like, you're 17. And, so she calls them in. The person in charge of her has a talk with him and his dad. And is like, so are you sure? You're going to let him do this? And his dad's like, he's a pretty good kid. And things kind of escalate from there. And when they arrive back at the house, Charlie has installed the pole things to help hold on to when you're standing and all of that, all the stuff that he was told to do. And when they get there, he's like, oh no, I forgot. I didn't think about you're going to need a ramp to get up to, into the house. And Bowditch is like, you get me in once. That's enough. It's not like I leave. And, there's an orderly with them, and he's like, together we can get him up the stairs. It's fine. But I thought that part was funny. And then whenever they get into the room that Bowditch is going to be staying in, Charlie has made up the couch into a bed, and the lady who's going to be the nurse that's going to be working with Bowditch is like probably 6 years older than Charlie. Like, she's fresh out of school, and she's like, oh, who made up the bed? And Charlie's like, I did. And she was like, oh, you can do that? My mind, I went, he is 17 years old. At 17, you should know how to make a bed. Okay? No matter what age we're in. 17-year-old, you should be able to make a bed. If you can't make a bed at 17, Google it. YouTube it. You should be making your own bed. Your mama shouldn't be making your bed no more. Anyway. I got Sharpie on my hand. That part made me a little irritated because I was like, also, he does YouTube a lot of videos on whenever he's fixing up Valjage's house. He has to scythe down the grass because it is really tall. It's like waist tall or higher in some places, and so he has to, like, Valjage's like, well, there's a scythe, and if you can get the rust off of it, it should do the work. And so Charlie YouTubes how to use a whetstone. It's really kind of fun to listen to that. Reading it wasn't so fun because I was just like, yeah, and we're but it was a good book. Okay, it was a good book. I liked this book. Obviously, I could nitpick. There are some pretty good pictures in this thing. Charlie, there are giant bats. When Charlie goes to the other world. Oh, this is another reason why I couldn't read this where my kid could see. Look how scary that face is. He is met with a lady who can't talk. Her name is Dora. She's the shoe lady. And he's immediately remembers the fairy tale. There was a old woman who lived in a shoe. Except she's not very old, and she mends shoes. And then he meets a princess, and he's immediately has this idea that he wishes he was a prince. But then he's like, no, that's crazy. I'm not a prince. I'm just a 17-year-old boy. And my brain went, princes are 17-year-old boys. It turns out that princess that he thought she was is actually a queen. You find out later. And she can't talk. She has no mouth to eat. She has to open a cut in the side of her face. It's pretty graphic. I don't know if I could do it. He meets some other royals. We also... This is a spoiler, okay? Just, if you don't want this, I'll leave a thing up top somewhere. You can skip ahead. The only ones not turning gray have royal blood. And the story is, and it says it in the book, the royal family was Randy. If you get my meaning. And that's exactly how it's said in the book, because Charlie is like, so what are we, like, what, how come none of y'all are touched by the gray? And, yeah. There is a... So, they're all got some royal blood in them. There are some really creepy, electrified zombie things in this book. Yeah. Charlie's hair starts lightening and his eye, he gets put in a dungeon with some other partial royalties. I'm not gonna say the word that Charlie thinks whenever he hears this. Starts with a B. Oh man, I didn't realize you were behind me. And they are to fight each other to the death. And that's pretty gruesome too. So like the whole time he's in the dungeon, I could almost smell the stench. Like I was like, oh, okay. It's like I said, it's pretty graphic. And there's a fleeting moment where Charlie is dreaming, but it's actually Radar. You get to hear Radar's thoughts. Giant. There's a giant red cricket. What are you doing? That can talk to you if you focus mind to mind. That Radar loves. Not like loves, but like is like besties with. And yeah. A lot happens. A lot happens in this book. I don't even think I can cover all of it, so I'm not even going to try. Have you read this book?
Yeah.
Have you read this book? Is it? I know you haven't read this book. My kid's back here. Nah. Anyway, have you read this book or is it on your TBR? Let me know. Say, come in, Keller. I hope you liked this video. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. I know I ramble and I'm just like, I just want to tell you everything. But yeah, like this video if you like this video. Are you doing this challenge with me? If not, that's cool. I am starting to collect books for next year's challenge and possibly for the challenge after that. And I do a challenge that would be good for adults, such as this one that's pretty graphic. Although some of these books could have been on the preteen list, to be honest. And then I also make a preteen list. If you have any book suggestions for either of those, please leave them in the comments. I'm reading Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I think it's, I don't know. I'm halfway through this book. I'm gonna finish it soon. And I think the next book that I listen to, I am reading Half a Soul, and I have a lot to say about this one, but this is going to be one of those that I'm going to have to pick up the next book, and then the next book. Before I get too far, I forgot to say, if you get the book, I went back after listening, I went to my book, and there is Stephen King put this little questions and topics for discussion, and I thought it was so cool. One of his references in the book is Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes, and I was like, enhance your book club. He's got a little suggestion section over here. It says, 1. Think back to Stephen King's previous books starring children and teenagers in primary roles. Stand By Me, that was the other one. The Institute, It, and Others. How does Charlie differ from Stephen King's previous children and teens? lead characters, and how is he similar? And then it says 2, read The Gunslinger, the first book in the Dark Tower series. Discuss the world-building parallels between both books. And then 3, think about the fairy tale in your life growing up and choose 1 or 2 characters from the work or different works and put them in the world of Stephen King's fairy tale. How would they help or hinder Charlie's journey in reaching the sundial and saving Empress? And then it has a little holly in. Okay. So sorry, I forgot to tell you about that. Anyway, I think the next book that I listened to, I didn't have any more credits, so I am listening to the first book in the Poppy McAllister series by Libby Klein. I read the 8th book in the series earlier this year, and the first book was free on Audible, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. But I think that the next one that I listened to will be The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. Yeah. Off of my list. It will have to wait until I have another credit, though, because I got no more credits. I'm still waiting on The Halloween Party by Agatha Christie from the library. I have moved up. I was 3rd in line for it, and now I am 1st in line for it when it gets checked back in, so whoop whoop. I just realized that I didn't read that one. Anyway, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 books on this list. I have access to 1, 2, 3. I have access to 3 of them because I bought them earlier this year. And I think I have 4 on my preteen and teen challenge. I will not read all of these before the end of the year, I'm pretty sure, unless I somehow manage to listen to them. But I am hopeful that I get through more than I got through last year. That is all that matters. I will make a video on what I have left to read later. That is all I'm going to talk about. This video is long and I'm going to have to edit it down because I had to stop a few times. And so like this video if you like this video. I know I rambled at the end. And comment below if you've read this or if you're reading this or if it's on your TBR and are you doing this challenge. I will leave the link for the challenge in the description. It is a bit late to start a challenge unless you're not busy and you can read 24 books that fast. Some of them were kind of on the bigger side, like, yeah. So, you could just listen. Oh, you could probably listen to all 24 before the end of the year. If I had credits, I'd do it. I'm out of credits right now, and we don't have the money to buy a book on Audible. Yeah. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. If you're not sure, click my face and go check out my channel. And share this video with anyone else who loves Stephen King books and anyone else who is thinking of reading this. And yeah. So now I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna finish my coffee and read another chapter of this book before I edit this video. I'll see you on my next video. Bye!